So we want to look at strings in Python, and we want to look at the different ways we manipulate strings and the different string methods that we have. We write strings in Python using either double quotes or single quotes. Whenever you have a text or a string of characters surrounded by quotes, it is of data type string. We have seen how to look at the different data types of different variables. We can just print, and we want to print the type of sentence, and it will tell us that sentence is a string when we run this str. When we use single or double quotes, sometimes we have problems that might occur. And one of the problems is when the surrounding quote matches a character that is part of the sentence or the string that you are writing. For instance, I wrote "It's Mildred's birthday today," and I can easily print this, and it's going to print out well, all is well, because there is nothing wrong with the surrounding quotes. But assuming I used a single quote here, then this is going to result in an error when I try to print, because Python interpreter sees this as the end of this and becomes confused about what the rest of the sentence is. And so in order for us to avoid this problem, you either make sure that make sure the surrounding quote does not match any text inside of the string, or you use something we call an escape character before the offending character, indicated by a backslash like this. So just before the character that is going to cause the error, you put a backslash, and this will automatically tell the interpreter that this is part of the sentence. The next character you see is part of the sentence. It is not the close of the quotation for the string. And when we print this time, all is well and there is no error. So I'm going to change this back using a surrounding quote so we can use this to illustrate other stuff. When we want to look at the number of characters that we have in a string or a sentence or a word, we use a function called len, L-E-N. And in the parentheses, we specify the name of the variable or the value that we want to count. And when I do this and I run, I'm going to have the len printed as 29. Most of the time in programming, counting starts from 0, indexing starts from 0. So I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the space is counted, and M is 5, 6, 7. So you count all of them to the end, and this is going to give you 29 characters, including the spaces and the apostrophe. Why is this useful? Sometimes you want to get a part of a sentence or part of a word, or you want to take a particular part of the word or check if a particular sentence is present in a word. We use slicing to do this. And when we want to slice in Python, we're going to be using the print statement. We write the variable sentence, and in a pair of square brackets, we want to specify a start index. When we say index, that's the position of that character. So let's say I want to just print out Mildred to the page. So I'll start 0, 1, 2, 3, the space is 4, and M starts from 5. So I'll say I want it to start from 5, a colon, and then I want to specify the end. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I can't put 11 because the last is always not inclusive. So I'll go one above 12. So I'll put 12. So I want this to print out Mildred. So I start at 5 and I end at 12. Last is not inclusive, which means it will print D as the last one. And when I run this now, we will have Mildred printed because I have sliced that sentence to just get this character out of it. So what you need to remember is that the first character has index 0. The last character is at index position -1. So let's say we want to print out -1, for instance, like this. -1 is the last character, which is going to be Y. And when we run this, we have Y printed. The first is 0, the last is -1. If you don't know the length of the string in advance and you just want to see what the last character is, just use -1 to get the last character. So -1 means you are counting from behind. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, 10, -11, -12, -13, -14, -15, -16, -17. So this is -17, which means that we want to use negative slicing to print out Mildred to the page. So let's say we are going to use -17 is the end index, so put -17, and let's see what the start index will be. So this is -17. So let's say -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. -17 is the last. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We want it to start at -24, like that. And so let's see if this prints out Mildred to the page. And so when I clear and I run, we have Mildred printed because we did the same thing, but we use negative indexing, like that. So remember that when you're counting from behind, it's -1 to whatever you get. The first one, the last character is -1. And when you do that, you specify the end index as the first one you get to, like the D is always exclusive. So you have to go one above where you want. So one of the ways you can learn this and get familiar with this is to take a pencil, write the character and number them and see how you do the slicing. And then it begins to come naturally to you where how to do negative slicing. It can be a little bit confusing. Also, you can see something like, let's say sentence. We'll see like sentence, a square bracket, and 5 and a column. And you might see something like this in programming. And what this simply means is that you are saying that I want to get from the 5th index, that's from M, to the last. So when you omit the last, the end index, it just prints from the start index you specified up until the end of the string or the end of the sentence. So it just starts from Mildred's birthday today because I said it should start from 5. If, for instance, I say I don't want to start from 5, I don't specify a start, I want to specify an end. I want to print everything from the beginning up until the 12th index. And when I run this, I will have it's Mildred because that is what I said. Everything from the beginning up until the end index. Always remember that the end is always not inclusive in this stuff. Does anybody have any question?
Okay, so Miss Mildred.
Yeah.
Sorry. So when you are dealing with the negative indexing,
yeah,
you always count. Yeah, you always count from the left to the right to get the word, or I don't know, like
you count from right to left, right? When you are using negative, you count from right to left. But then when you count from right, like -1, -2, -3 to the left, that means the start index is going to be, the figure is going to be higher. So like for instance, -24, the number is 24, but -24 is smaller than -17. But the 24 itself, so the bigger number is going to be the start index, and the smaller number will be the index. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some string methods that we use, and these methods we just use it to change different. One example, for instance, let me tell you is, let's say we are building a system and you have people create their new username or password on the system, and you don't want confusion. You want all passwords to be in lowercase, for instance, all in uppercase. And when they try to log in, you want to validate the credentials that they have entered. And one of the backend code you have is to check that the string they entered, if you want to convert all to lowercase or uppercase before you match it against what is in the database, or things like that. So in the event that those text passwords and all those usernames are encrypted, then the casing matters a lot, because the encryption of an uppercase and a lowercase letter might be different depending on the encryption method that you use. And so we have things like checking the string that is entered against what casing was used. So we have methods that we use for all of this. For instance, if we want every first letter of a sentence to be in uppercase, we use capitalize like this. The capitalize method just writes the name of the variable dot capitalize and a pair of parentheses. There is nothing in the parentheses, and when I run this, you find that the first letter is in uppercase letter of that capitalize. I. If we want it to be uppercase, we use upper like this. And then everything is going to be in uppercase like this. And when we want it to be in lower, we use lower like this. And then it is in this event that we do things like using conditional statements to check certain things. Let's say, for instance, I want to say if the sentence is in uppercase, say do something, and if not, do something else. Or if not, convert it. Let's do conditional statements. In Python, we have conditional statements, and conditional statement means executing a block of code based on a particular condition. We use if, and we have something we call elif and else statements. If, and then the condition. Elif is if you have two conditions. If it's not what is in the if block, what is in the elif block. If not, what is in the else statement. So let's give an example. If, let's say first name in sentence. I'm trying to say if the first name here, Mildred, is contained in the sentence. It's Mildred's birthday today. Print first name found. We can use an else statement to put another condition, else, and we'll say print first name not found. So we are using a condition telling it to do something if the condition is met, or do something else if it is not met. So it's only going to print one of the two conditions here. One of the two sentences here, depending on if the condition is met or not. And when we run this, it will say first name found, because Mildred is in the sentence, it's Mildred's birthday today. Let's say we want to write it's John's birthday today, for instance. Now it's going to print the else statement because Mildred is not found. When I run, I'm going to have first name not found. If I want to have several layers of conditions, but I want the conditions to be changed such that it checks each condition. Once one of the conditions is met, it prints that one and terminates the block of code. We use the elif after the if, elif. We can use as many elif as possible. So elif, first name, let's say for instance, elif first name, or let's do something else because this will conflict. Let's say or if middle name in sentence, print middle name found, then else. So it is not going to satisfy all the conditions. It's only going to be one. It's like if the first name is in the sentence, print first name is found. If this condition is not satisfied, check this next condition. If the middle name is there, put middle name found. If it doesn't satisfy both of these conditions, then just print this. So that's the meaning of this. The if block specifies the condition and what to do if that condition is met. The elif block specifies a second condition so that if the condition in the if block is not met, then the elif condition is checked. If the condition of the if block is met, the elif is not checked. If the condition in the if and the elif block are not met, then the what to do at the else block is what is now printed out to the page. So when I save this, I'll clear and I run, I have first name not found because there's no Mildred there. Okay, or if I put the middle name here, we'll see that the middle name condition is satisfied and it will have middle name found. So it checks the first condition it meets, it prints out and exits from the conditional statement. So this is how we use conditional statements, and we're going to look deeper at conditional statements when we look at the different type of operators we have to compare two things and several things. This is just one example to illustrate conditional statements. We have other string methods that we use. Let's say, for instance, I write this and there's a lot of space here. If you collect user input, for instance, and you want to save space, and some people will just leave a lot of tabs and paragraphs and everything, and you want to sanitize these inputs before you send to the database, there are methods that you use. We have a method called the strip method that we say sentence, or let's say print, and we're going to print sentence dot, and then we'll say strip. So before we do this, for us to be able to see the effects, let's print the length of the sentence. So we want to print len sentence, and then sentence on strip, and then we'll print the length sentence again. So I'll clear this, and we'll see that the length of the sentence is going to be longer. When it's stripped, it's going to be shorter. So when I run, I'll have the length of the sentence is going to be the same after it is stripped, but it's not going to be the same before it is. So let's say, first of all, we are printing the length of sentence, and then the length is 38. It's Aisha's birthday today, and then we strip it and print the length of sentence. So for some reason, the spaces are not actually showing here. Let's print sentence first. So I want to illustrate this properly for you. So I'll print sentence first. Print sentence, and then I'll print sentence here. Okay. So we want to remove white spaces, and then I will run. So we have this will illustrate better when we have the space here. Let's see. We have other methods to take spaces from different specific parts of the sentence, but we want to look at how the strip works. So even when we strip with the space in between and not at the start or the end, it does not respect that strip. If we put a space at the beginning like this and we run, it doesn't respect the strip. If we put a space at the end here, there's no way we would know if it is stripped. But we can see in all examples that the length of the string is affected by the number of spaces that we have. And when we use the strip method on this, when we use the strip method here, it does not tell us the change in length that we need to see. But we need to research other strip methods that we have that can strip from the beginning, that can strip from the end, and that can strip in between. But basically, we use the strip method to remove white spaces from the text like this. And so when I take this out and I print the length, we have the length as 29, which means for some reason, this length is not, so I will store this in another variable to be able to get the correct number. So let's do that, so that I want you guys to see this and not get confused. So let's say we want to say sentence 2 is equal to sentence dot, let's say strip, like this, and then I'll put a lot of space here. So I want to say print then sentence 2. I want to print the length of the sentence. Print then sentence. Okay, I'll clear here, and then we have the space in front, and then when I run this, So I have the length of sentence 2 is 29 and the length of sentence is 36. Because sentence 2, although we use strip, when we use strip, we have the spaces out of it taken out, and so that's why we have it lower. And the sentence, we have the spaces calculated, and that's why we have it longer. So the strip will remove all of the spaces that we have at the end here, and we can see the number of character of spaces by the number of dots that we have when we highlight here. And so when we see sentence 2's length is 29, which is longer than sentence 1 because we stripped sentence 2, and we stripped the sentence and stored it in a variable called sentence 2, and we printed this out. So when you want to look at the method that you use to strip from the beginning, white spaces from the beginning, I want you to research more string methods, but we have a lot of string methods that do different things. But just take note that we have the strip method that we use and other variations of the same strip method. If you want to also check something like, let's say we have a condition that we want to check. We have a conditional statement, and we want to say if the first name is in lowercase, convert it to uppercase, but if not, leave it as it is, or something like that. I'll give you an example. We wrote these names all in lowercase letters, and we want the first letter to be in uppercase. We use the title method like this. So let's say first name 2 is equal to first name dot title like this. So we use the title, and if I print first name 2, we'll see that the first letter of the first name is going to be in uppercase letter like that. So in our application development, if we want to check if the name entered is in lowercase, you can now use a conditional statement to say if first name we have a method that we use to check. If first name dot, we can use is lower. So we want to check if first name is in lowercase, we want to print first name is in lowercase. Else, we want to print first name is not in lowercase. The same thing, we have another method to say if first name is in title case, which means that the first letter is capitalized. So let's say if first name let's say first name 2, because that one is title, dot is title. So I want to say the first name is in title case, like that. So we have these different methods that we use to check different things. I'm trying to give you a real life scenario where when you develop your system, where these methods come in handy. And string methods are the things that you really need to know before you can actually go into software development, because you will need all the knowledge. You need to know what exists. You don't need to have them in your head, but you just need to know what exists and what they are used for. And so that when you need them, you will start researching what method or what function does this particular stuff. Okay, and when you print this, you say the first name is in lowercase, the first name is in title case, because first name 2 is in title, this is in lower. So this, what I just did here, brings us to a topic we call Boolean. Boolean is just true or false, yes or no, 1 or 0. True meaning 1, yes. False meaning 0, no. A Boolean in Python is just something that you ask. If it returns true, do something. So if it's lower, what it will return is true. And when it is true, it prints out something. So when you use a conditional statement, we are practically getting a Boolean as the response. Is 10 less than 5, it will tell us true or false. And so if we say 10 is greater than 5, it will tell us something. In Python, we have a bool function. And the bool function is a very funny one because it is something written bool like this. A bool function will always return true, except for when we have empty strings, or we have the number 0, or we have any empty lists or sets or tuples or dictionaries. But apart from that, when you use the bool function, everything you always get is going to be true. Okay? And we're going to use that. I don't even think we'll have anything to why we will use this, but I'm just trying to let you know. For instance, let's say I want to print 10 is greater than 5. This will return true because what we have asked here now is a Boolean. It's telling us true, 10 is greater than 5. If I say 10 less than 5, it's going to return false because 10 is not less than 5. So a Boolean is just anything that evaluates to true or false is a Boolean. Okay? So if you store this in a variable 10 is less than 5, the type of that variable is going to be bool. Any question? So we have operators in Python, and operators are just anything we use to perform operations on variables and on values. Like we have the addition operator, we have the subtraction, multiplication. So in Python, we have addition, the plus operator. And we've seen that we've used plus before to concatenate two strings together. Like when I want to say I want to print full name, let's say full name is equal to first name plus, and then I put a space, then I put plus last name. And so this will now print out the full name for me because I used the plus sign to join two strings together. So I have to print full name. So we use this to join two strings together, but you can't use the plus to join a string and an integer. It's just two strings together. So plus is a mathematical operation that operator, for an arithmetic. If you have two integers or two numbers, it will add them together. If you have two strings, it's going to just join them together, concatenate. Like you say, join the first and the last. We'll use this empty quote to put a space between the two. If not, there will be no space. We use the minus sign like this to subtract two values. We use the / for division, and we also use something we call the modulo %sign, which gives us the remainder of a division operator. And this is one important thing for you to understand the modulo operator. For instance, if we get to a topic called functions and you're asked to write a function that will tell you if a number that is entered is an odd number or an even number, this is where modulo come in, because you know the definition of an even number is that when you divide it by 2, you will not get any remainder, but an odd number will always get a remainder of 1. So you can now use the modulo operator to say if the input modulo 2 is equal to 0, then the number is even. If the input modulo 2 is equal to 1, the number is odd. Okay? So these are the operators that we will use, and we know how to use them. We have other operators that are like assignment operators that we use equal. When we use equal to, like here, we use it to assign a value to a variable. Equal means assigning a value to a variable. If we want to compare two values, we use double equal to like this. If I want to say print, I want to compare two values. Now I want to say 10. So I want to check if 10 is equal to 5. It's not equal. 10 is greater than 5. So this is going to print false out to me. And so this is the comparison operator that will compare two values. So use double equal for comparison. If you want to say something like x is equal to 5, and then want to say x is equal to x plus 1. This is the same thing as saying x plus equal 1. So x is equal to x plus 1 is the same thing as x plus equal 1. So anytime you see plus equal, it means x is equal to x plus 1. If you see minus equal, it means x is equal to x minus 1. If you see asterisk equal, x is equal to x times 1. Okay? If you see division equal like this, x is equal to x divided by 1. So this is how the shorthand form of writing x is equal to x plus 1. Okay, x plus equal 1. We have things like membership operators that we just use where we say if first name in, membership use in. In is a membership operator, not in is a membership operator. We have things like logical operators that we use and to say if two conditions are true. If condition A and condition B are true, do something. If condition A or condition B, so if either one is true, do something. If only one is true, if it's and operator used, both of them must be true. We have the not operator that say if it is not true. We have other comparison operator. When we want to say not equal to, we use a bang sign like this, on exclamation mark equal to means not equal, like this in Python. And as we write our functions and we start developing, go deeper, we're going to use these different operators. I want you to look at your pre-recorded videos for details about these operators. I want you to also research more on Python strings. I've given you an example of how we use the different methods to manipulate strings in Python. We also have different other strings, like we want to split on something or we want to replace. Let's say I have an application where you have to select multiple options using checkboxes, and I want to store all of these in a particular column on a row, in a particular row on a column in a database. And when it is retrieved, I want it to split this. Is it on a comma, on a space, or anything? We use a split method. For instance, let's go back to the sentence, and let's say, for instance, I say print sentence dot split, and what I'm doing is I'm splitting on, for instance, I want to split on space, so I'll just put space like this, and so it's going to give me a list of the different words in the sentence after every space that we have, like this. So when I run this, I will have it's Aisha's birthday today. So this is a list. If I want to split on asterisk like this, we want to say, or on apostrophe, for instance, I want to say anywhere you see an apostrophe like this, just split it, and then to return me the list splitted on the apostrophe like that. So we'll use this split also in our software development project at some point, where you want to get something out of inputs that the user enter, and you want to split the different words in the sentence into indexing in a list like this. Or when you get to data analysis part, where we need to actually split this when we are doing natural language processing. But these are very important concepts for you to understand. Also, we use replace. For instance, if we say I want to replace this with Mildred, I will put I think it's a replace method we use, replace, and I'll say sentence.replace. I'm going to put the text to replace here, which is Aisha, and I want to replace this with Mildred like this. And when I print sentence, let's say sentence 2, and then I'll print sentence 2, and then I'll have it's Aisha's birthday today. I'm sorry, I'm not replacing the correct word. The spelling is wrong. So it's going to be it's Mildred's birthday today, because the spelling was initially wrong. So research more about all of these methods, and then practice more for you to understand. And when we talk about the operators, we have different precedents of operators. Just like in mathematics, where we evaluate things, we say that multiplication and division are evaluated before addition and subtraction. Look at the precedence of different operators in Python. Is similar to that in mathematics, where parentheses, anything in parentheses will be evaluated first before exponentiation, then multiplication and division, and then we have the modulo, and then addition, subtraction, and the rest. So look at the precedence. So in the event you are using it for scientific calculation, you will know how it is evaluated from left to right, or how it is evaluated based on their precedence. All right. So we mentioned list while we were talking, and we'll just quickly go over what a list is in Python, and then next week we're going to look at other collection types. Now, a list in Python is a variable that holds several values. For instance, I want to list something like favorite color. or favorite colors. I have more than one. I'm going to put a square bracket like this, and I'm going to write all my colors as a comma separated list. Now, the list mustn't be all strings. You can have any data type as a list item. The thing is, you must keep to the rule of the data type. Strings are quoted, numbers are not quoted. If you have Boolean true or false, you write it there. And then each item of the list is separated by a comma like this. Now, list items, they have a defined order. Red is at index position 0. This order will not change except you now manipulate, add things to particular index positions and others. The list allows duplicates. We can have blue listed several times like this, and say we want to have blue again. You can have the same item listed more than once in a list. If we want to loop through a list, we come to a topic called loops. We use the for in like this. So I want to say for, we give something we call an iterator. You can name your iterator whatever you want. Let's say we want to name it X. I want to say for X in favorite color, I want to print X, which means that I want to name something an iterator. Let's say this cursor is the iterator and the name it X. When the X come into favorite color, any item it reaches, it should print it. So it will go here, red, blue, green, yellow, purple, blue, and to print each of them to the page. So that's the logic of looping through a list like this. So you can do different things with it. You want to list it, you want to print them out, you want to append them to another list, whatever it is that your requirements specifies when you are using this within the context of creating classes and functions and objects for your softwares. Well, these are basic concepts you need to understand before we go deeper into them. So I want you to watch your pre-recorded videos that have more details on these different collection types and the difference between them, especially the difference between lists and sets and lists and tuples and dictionaries, and when they're applicable and what are the different unique characteristics of each of these collection types. And this is where we end this lesson. I want to ask if you have any question, and we can go ahead with the question. If not,
okay. Please, going back to the comparison operator.
okay.
Okay. I remember when we were doing the JavaScript, comparing data types and the values, whereby probably strings were compared with probably maybe numbers or other data types. I don't know, in Python too, we have such a rule. Do you have the same rule apply in Python? Whereby you have to compare two values, two data types, which are different.
Yes, it applies to all programming languages actually. But what you have is you have different type of errors. Let's say, for instance, print. Let's say print. Want to compare 5 is greater than a string, Mildred. Right? And we'll save this. So we're now trying to compare a string and a number here, and then you're going to have this type error is not supported. This would be exactly the type of errors you have in almost all programming language, where the comparison between two different types will not happen. So you get a type error not supported between instance of string and int. What it won't do for you is give you the wriggly line for you to know you're making an error until you run this for you to see the type of error or exception that you have. And so when we get to error handling, we are going to handle this particular question you asked, where we say, what do we do if we run into any type of this error? How do we stop the program from halting and continue execution if it's a whole script? How do we handle this error that it tells the user exactly what the error is, instead of this cryptic programming message that you get here telling you not supported instances of int and string. Some people might not understand this. You want to have custom error messages. There we're going to see how we handle things like this. But across programming languages, the rules are basically the same.
Okay, so supposing the mid-read, probably have a number, quoted number. You said numbers are not quoted, but let's say for instance, you have the mid-read, we have probably 10. Or let's say
like this,
probably like the mid-read, we have 10. in the mid-thread.
Okay, yes. Like number 10 like this.
No, you take off the mid-thread.
Okay, take off the middle.
Yes.
Okay, so when you quote both, and both are numbers that are quoted, right?
Like maybe the 5 is not quoted, just the 10 is quoted. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
So when you have one string, one as a string and one as an int, the same thing will apply as a type error, because what Python knows is the data type. It's not going to infer. And for those doing course 3, you'll see that when we did deeper function, I think it's in week 6 of course 3, you would have seen that we started looking at the details of this, where when we begin to have type hinting, trying to say what type hints the type of value or value that we want to return. So it is when we get there that we can now manipulate the types of the data type of the different types. And even if we put it as a string, because we have specified the return type as an int, we might not have an error. So these are deeper topics, but for now, for the basic level, is once you have an integer and a string, it doesn't matter if it's just an integer that is quoted. As long as the data type is string, you're going to still have a type error.
I remember JavaScript probably is able to throw the true or false at you, but probably, I don't know, Python.
Yeah, JavaScript is easier to infer. Like JavaScript can just say that you mean, because like if you quote a number in JavaScript can just infer that, okay, this is a number that is quoted, but we'll just go ahead with doing the right thing because it can infer. But in Python, that doesn't happen. But generally, even in the same JavaScript, when you start building complex systems, you don't want to make such mistakes, because at some point you begin to have unexpected errors. So the rule is you follow the syntax of the language and make sure that you do not compare two types that are not allowed, even if the interpreter can infer and bypass it.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, any more questions? Okay, so we are going to let you know if there'll be a live class next week. If not, I've handled most of next week's topics, and I will make the videos available early, as your assignment 5 has one question that needs a topic dictionaries from next week's lesson. I have handled both the loops and the conditional statements from next week, and I have made sure that the pre-recorded video contains deeper details. So in the event there is no live class, you are already covered. If you have questions, always make sure you post it in the group chat, ask for a one-on-one class, and we will meet the week after. So thank you everyone, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.